Head coach Darian DeVries and the Indiana Hoosiers are rolling through the transfer portal right now with more visitors lined up. Are commits coming soon?
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Well, thank you so much for being here. Shout out to all of my everydayers, those of you that listen or watch us every single day. If you're listening on your audio platforms or watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for being here and truly making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. It's a heavy portal episode today. We're talking about three names that you need to know. A former Darian DeVries player who is a Power 5 player who's in the transfer portal, plus another Power 5 player from the SEC that Indiana has reportedly reached out to, and somebody who is on campus today. If you're watching this on Tuesday as it comes out on April 15th, there is a player on campus as we speak, and his name is Jasai Miles. He is from North Florida, okay? Jasai Miles, Jasai Miles. And don't get it confused because we're going to talk about Duke Miles coming up in just a little bit. This is Jasai Miles from North Florida. He is a sophomore rising junior guard who is visiting Indiana today. Now, this was a late bloomer. This was a late report. This was from 247 that I saw, where Jasai is going to be on campus on Tuesday for Indiana. He is a 6'6", 205-pound guard. He's originally from Miami, Florida, and played his first two college seasons at North Florida, where he was a part-time starter in year one as a freshman, started 19 of their 32 games, but then as a sophomore, he started every game for North Florida. And I'm going to tell you the stats and break down some of his film coming up in just a few minutes. And, you know, this is a guard-heavy show today. I just want to go ahead and put that out there, where all three of these guys are guards. And that's what Indiana's been going after very heavily in the portal so far. Yes, there's been some conversations with some bigger guys, right, with some forwards and a couple of centers out there that some have gone other places and others are still kind of in the works. But you can tell that DeVries and this staff are heavy on the guards to start. They believe that that's where they're going to win, right? They believe that that's where they can have the most success early in the transfer portal, and then I would assume on the floor as well. And look, the regular season is so much different than the NCAA tournament, but just look at how the tournament went. It's guard-centric. It's guard-heavy. You win national titles by having good guards. And by no means am I saying that Indiana is going to win the national championship in 25 and 26, but it's very obvious that Indiana is going after guards early here in the transfer portal. And since this dead period has opened up, 4 days ago, the Hoosiers have been very active in getting guys on campus like Jasai Miles from North Florida. Here are some of his stats, okay? As a freshman, he averaged 5.7 points a game. Nothing crazy. What stands out to me in a good way is the jump that he made, that sophomore surge that we talked about. Hey, Mackenzie Mbako, take notes here. He went from 5.7 points a game to 15 points a game. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that he was a part-time starter, turned to a full starter, and became their go-to guy. He became the one that they turned to when they needed a bucket. He averaged 15 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, just the 2 assists per game. He's pretty solid defensively, half a block, half a steal. Didn't turn the ball over a ton. And some shooting numbers here. This will get you fairly excited, I think. 42.5% from the floor, 33.5% from three, averaged about 2.5 makes on about 7.5 attempts. So you can round up or down however you want to do that. Averaged just over 2 makes a game from behind the arc, and 63% from the free throw line. And when you start to watch the film on Jasai Miles from North Florida, the thing that sticks out to me is he's very good when his teammates set him up. He doesn't create a whole lot of his own shots here. And I'm going to be honest. That's what concerns me a little bit. This is one of the first ones that I've talked about on this show where I'm not 100% sold on just yet. I think he's a very good player. I think he's very talented. His shooting numbers don't impress me. I am impressed with the jump from a freshman to his sophomore season, almost tripling his average point totals. But his shooting numbers are not great. And when you watch some of his film, he's very aggressive with the basketball when they set him up to be, right? He's a spot up shooter. They run a lot of high pick back roll, right? Kind of like a backdoor rainbow cut coming around to where tons of alley oops. He's 6'6". He can get up to the rim, which is nice, which is why he rebounds the basketball nearly 7 times a game, which I do love that, a rebounding guard. It's a rare thing in our game nowadays, but everything just seems to be created for him, which is not a bad thing. But some of these guys we're going to talk about a little bit later, and a Lamar Wilkerson type of player, you don't have to do that in a crunch, right? You can trust them to go make their own shot and go get a bucket if you need them to. And maybe that's not what Jasai Miles is if he steps on campus at IU. I think he would be a very good role piece for Indiana. He's played just 2 seasons at a mid-major at North Florida, which there's no disrespect. You just don't know what the game is going to look like for him when he steps on, or if he steps on the floor in Big Ten play, in Power 5 basketball. I mean, we're playing Kentucky this year in the non-conference schedule. Then you've got Big Ten play. Then hopefully you've got the NCAA tournament. I mean, you're playing big-time teams. How will it translate for a guy like Jasai Miles? Not saying that it can't be there, not saying that it wouldn't be good. I just have some of my concerns on, okay, what happens if we run that backdoor cut, but the defense cuts it off and we pass it to you? Can you back your way down in the Big Ten like you did at North Florida? I don't know. Can you knock down shots consistently? I would say unlike you did at North Florida. I don't know. And maybe that's what Indiana's looking at here is, look, we'd love to have you, but we can't guarantee that you're a starter here. We can't guarantee you play 30 something minutes a game like you did there in Miami or in North Florida. Sorry. And so I think that is my concern, is he is a low risk, high reward type of player, because if he doesn't work out, he probably wouldn't see the floor a whole lot. But if he does work out, then you hit a home run in the portal type of thing. This is not a Lamar Wilkerson where you go, you pay a good amount of money and he's a starter and you hope that he takes you to the tournament. That's not at all what Miles is. He's just somebody that's visiting Indiana who they're clearly interested in and want to learn more about. And the upside could be there. I just have some hesitation here with this guy from North Florida. But there are other names that Indiana has reached out to and should reach out to that I think you will really, really like. Both of these are from the Power 5. One from Oklahoma, one from Texas Tech. We'll talk about those guys coming up next right here on the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Can you believe we're already here? Wild to me. But every bucket, every game, every defensive stop, every moment just feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it with the stress, or without the stress, rather, of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when high demand is there. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. And look, here's why I use Game Time. It's their last-minute deals. It's that last-minute decision of, you know what? Let's go to that game tonight. It's Tuesday. Let's go to the playoff game. Let's go to the baseball game. Let's go to that hockey game. Let's do it. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back into Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here. Whether you listen on audio, watch on YouTube, however you are finding us. If you're seeing our stuff on social media, whether it's on our X page, be sure you follow us there at Locked On Hoosiers. Maybe some of those shorts that we're posting on YouTube, check all of that out. We post polls every day on YouTube. We got a lot going on for you. And so we're happy to bring it to you, having a ton of fun. And thank you so much for being here. My audio listeners, you know the drill. Follow us on there. Turn on those notifications, leave us those 5-star reviews on your podcasting platforms, and send it to everybody. We want your family. We want your friends. We want your coworkers. We want anybody you come across to be listening to Locked On Hoosiers. And for those of you who watch it on YouTube every day, thank you so much. You know the drill as well. Be sure you like it. Hit the thumbs up. Best way for the show to grow is for you to comment. Leave your thoughts. Go look up Miles from North Florida. Tell me what you think about him and the other guys that we're going to be talking about here today as well. And subscribe to the channel. We continue to grow, and that's because of you. So thank you so much for being here. Well, we talked about a Miles from North Florida, but now it's time to talk about a Miles from the SEC. And yes, a little confusing. I know, it's okay. It's a little confusing. It's more confusing for me than anything because I get my names mixed up all the time. But Duke Miles, okay? Duke Miles is a transfer from Oklahoma. You could say he's a transfer from a lot of places. He will now be going to his fourth school in 5, no. Yeah, it will be 6 years. How about that? His fourth school in 6 years. Holy smokes. Let's try this again. Fourth school in 6 years. Duke Miles, the 6'2", 188-pound guard, started at Troy for 3 years, went to High Point for a year, then went to Oklahoma for a year. So this will be his fourth school in 6 years. I told you it's going to be more difficult for me than it would be for you. Duke Miles at Oklahoma this season. 9 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, 2 assists, shot it at 51% from the floor, shot it at 43% from behind the three-point line, but there is an asterisk there. Let me get to that. That's averaging about 1 make per game on about 3 attempts per game, give or take. It's 1.2 for 2.7. So he's averaging about a make per game. Okay. And he shoots it 2 to 3 times a game. So don't get just over ecstatic about the percentage. 43%. That's incredible. That's amazing. Yes, but it's a little misleading. I will say, he's gotten better over his career. He started his freshman season as an 18% three-point shooter and has kind of balanced that out a lot better. You take out his third year at Troy in 22 and 23, where he only played 6 games, guessing he got that medical red shirt, which is why he's able to play a little bit more college basketball. He's gotten better every year from behind the arc. So maybe you could carry that into another place like Indiana. Again, 43% from behind the arc. Here's what I like: 83% from the line. Love that from Duke Miles. Again, 2.5 boards per game, 2 assists per game. I love this number too, and this is what we're going to talk about here today. 1.4 steals per game. Averages a steal and a half per game, and did that in the SEC, where we saw they had some of the best guards in all of college basketball. Heck, they had the national champion in the Florida Gators. And that's what excites me about Duke Miles. He's a little bit different than what we saw from Miles from North Florida. While he was a starter this year at Oklahoma, was a main starter at everywhere he's been, he was a starter for the Sooners this year. He's a good scorer, and he's a great defender. And a lot of his points, remember we talked about somebody like this yesterday, where he gets a lot of his points in transition. He gets a lot of his stats in transition because he creates steals, creates turnovers, and he pushes the basketball. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again today. Sounds familiar, right? That verbiage, that words, those sentences sound familiar. It's because that's what Darian DeVries wants to get. And somebody like Duke Miles is really, really solid at doing just that. Reason we bring him up is because according to The Athletic, Indiana is one of the several schools that have reached out to him since he has entered the transfer portal. So let me say this before we get people upset on here. Indiana doesn't have, as of this recording, as of this episode, Indiana does not have a visit set up. Indiana hasn't, I don't think, has really talked to him on good one-on-ones or anything like that. I'm saying Indiana has reached out, and that is being reported by The Athletic. He does, however, have visits set up as of right now. He'll be visiting Texas A&M, Penn State, Baylor, and USC as of now. Okay, that's from the Athletic. Schools that have reached out to him, along with Indiana, that are interest to us. West Virginia has reached out to him. Tennessee, Auburn, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Creighton has reached out. Texas has reached out. Villanova has reached out to Duke Miles, and so he's legit, and he's getting some serious love and attention from a lot of SEC schools, some Big 12 schools, Big East schools, and then Indiana from the Big 10. And it's because he's just a solid player. You don't bring him in because he's going to drop 20 points a game like a Lamar Wilkerson. That's not his role. He's more of your shooting guard who can create his own shots, who can create his own plays. And you start watching his film, I highly recommend you go and watch it. Unlike what we saw from Miles from North Florida, Duke Miles can finish through contact. Duke Miles almost initiates, he almost welcomes the contact, which is kind of crazy in today's game of college basketball. It's kind of crazy in the SEC when you think about it. But Duke Miles, you watch him and he'll do a crossover dribble, he'll blow by one defender, and then he'll lean into the other defender, yes, to draw contact to try to get the foul, but he's good enough to finish through it anyway. And he's good enough to get to the rack and finish when he gets there and finish through contact. So he gets bumped to the floor most of the time in the SEC. He didn't get the call, but most of the time he finished anyway. And that's what stands out to me is the defensive effort and the defensive execution that he brings, but also the idea that he doesn't need you to set it up for him to go and get a bucket. And look, this is the Big Ten. You're going to get bumped. You're going to get hit. And depending on the officials, they may not even be looking when you get bumped. And you just got to play on. The question then becomes, because we're going to talk about another guard coming up in just a few moments. The question with all of these guys is, okay, are they starters? Are they bench guys? Are they just kind of there to be there? I mean, what would their role be on Indiana? And I try to answer that question with every single player that we talk about here on Locked On Hoosiers. And look, I think Duke Miles could be a starter here. I think Indiana is doing their best to reach out to as many guys as possible in case it doesn't work out. Take Lamar Wilkerson, for example. I said yesterday he could be a point guard because I think he could. He plays mostly shooting guard, but I think he could be a point guard. I think Duke Miles could be a point guard or a shooting guard. I think Connor Enright could be I don't know if I'd say he's a shooting guard. He's pretty much a point guard. But Jasai Miles from North Florida, Kevin Overton, a guy we're going to talk about just momentarily. Indiana is reaching out to all these guys because they feel that they can move them around and play them at different spots. But here's the reality. You're not going to get them all. You're not going to get all of them. So you reach out, you put out a bunch of feelers, and then you hope that multiple stick on the wall. Then you have your choice. Then you have your option rather than, man, we threw out 10 feelers and only one of them got back to us. That's not good. No, Indiana's reached out to a bunch of guys and they're hoping that several of them come back. And then you have your pick of the litter. I think that's what the situation is with Duke Miles. Do I think he's coming to Indiana? No idea. It's way too early. He doesn't have a visit set up. Indiana's been talking to him, but nothing crazy. So we just have to wait and see. But I wanted to talk about him because it's being reported that we're in contact, and I think he's a solid player. Could he be a starter here? Sure. But if you bring in somebody like Lamar Wilkerson, then he's probably your 6th or 7th man, and that's okay. That's okay. Indiana just has to tell somebody like him, hey, we'd love to have you, but you may not start here. And if that's not good enough for him, who is a starter in the SEC, then so be it. You move on and you say, yeah, we understand. And you move on from somebody like that. But I do like Duke Miles. And I like the game he plays, and I like the skill sets that he brings, which is why I think he's very attractive to Darian DeVries and a little bit more exciting than Jasai Miles to me personally, just because he's done it on the biggest stage in what was the best conference in college basketball a year ago in the SEC. So keep an eye out for Duke Miles. But we got one more name. I told you it's portal heavy today. One more name that you need to know. Why? because he used to play for Darian DeVries at Drake. We're talking Kevin Overton from Texas Tech right after this and our final segment on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? I think I do that just about every day right now. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money, but you start building your wealth. Look, you can have easy collaboration, right? Managing money with your partner, it can be difficult. It can be stressful. It can cause arguments. It's not an easy topic to have and a conversation to have. But right now, it's smoother than ever before. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress, all in one place with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's Monarch Money, Monarch like the butterfly, money.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, a heavy show today. So thank you so much for being here. A lot of research and film study has gone into shows like this today. But man, this is one of the best times of the year. It is portal season at Indiana, trying to rebuild that roster with new head coach Darian DeVries, trying to literally build it from the ground up, and jumped on it immediately, right? Got those couple of commits with Tucker DeVries, of course, and Connor Enright and Reed Bailey, the Davidson kid, who, again, very underrated, I think, in terms of a portal addition, but now trying to fill a lot more of those spots. And today has been a lot of the guards, but you've got one on campus, one that Indiana's reached out to, and another that I think Indiana will be reaching out to very soon. And this one is somebody who played for Darian DeVries during their time at Drake. It's Kevin Overton, the Texas Tech transfer, who is in the portal, who is going to be a target for the Hoosiers. Kevin Overton, 6'5", 200-pound guard from Texas Tech, played one season at Drake. He was a starter in all 35 games in 23 and 24 when Darian DeVries was there. And then when DeVries left to go to West Virginia, Overton left and went to Texas Tech. And he played in all 36 games, but he was not a starter at Texas Tech. Okay, only started a single game there in Texas Tech. And so keep that in mind here. He averaged almost 8 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, an assist per game, shot 42% from the floor, shot 34% from three, making about 1.5 per game on about 4 attempts per game. So not a high volume 3-point shooter, but could see that go up a little bit. Also shot it at 79% from the free throw line. We love to see that. And again, averaged about 3.5 rebounds per game as a 9.5-point scorer. This is somebody that stepped off the bench for Texas Tech and a team that was really good this year and is only a sophomore. 6'5", 200-pound shooting guard as a sophomore who I think is a better shooter than the numbers show. I think is somebody that if you give him a chance, I think can have a chance to really explode onto the scene. And we've talked about this with several players before. It's the reason you brought in Tucker. Yes, he's the son. It's the reason you bring in Enright. It's the reason you've talked to so many of these guys. He knows the Darian DeVries system. He knows the way of Darian DeVries. He doesn't turn the ball over. He plays great defense, and he uses his size to his advantage. And somebody off the bench in the Big 12 that just averaged almost 10 points a game, imagine what he can do in the Big 10. Could he be a starter? Absolutely, he could be a starter at Indiana. If you don't land somebody like Lamar Wilkerson or Duke Miles, or heck, if you get both of them, then you've got yourself a little shooting guard competition. How crazy is that? We talk about that with wide receivers and running backs and things like that in football, but you could have a flat out 2-guard battle throughout the summer at IU. I'd be okay with that. We've talked about that in the past, right? Was it going to be Trey Galloway or Cannon Carlisle? Ended up being Cannon Carlisle at the start, and then it was Trey Galloway at the end, and then it was like, we don't have a good shooting guard, but that's okay because now you're going after some new ones with new head coach Darian DeVries. But I like Kevin Overton. I do. I think he is again, somebody who in his time at Drake, just to give you some of those stats, as a starter at a mid-major, just to kind of give you an idea here, started all 35 games, averaged 11 points, shot it at 44%, about 35% from three, about 80% from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, almost 0.6, almost half a steal per game. So not bad there. So shocker, I know. The more minutes he played, the more points he scored. Crazy, right? Crazy ideology there. So just a solid player. He has the ability, has the ability to go off and have big time points, but he's just your solid performer. He's going to show up and he's going to do his job. Yeah, he has some 20-point games in there. He's got some 2-point games in there. But when you average about 10 points a game, that's what's expected of you. And if you come in and you're a role player on the bench for your old head coach, he's going to be straight up with you. He's going to be honest with you, and he's going to tell you exactly what you need. But he's somebody else that uses his size. He's going to bang down low. He's going to back you down as a guard, and he wants to finish in the lane through contact. He can spot up and shoot if you set him up. He can also just get to the lane and get to the free throw line and knocks him down at about 80% clip. I'll take it. Absolutely. Indiana needs free throw shooters, and you got all that when you're going for all these guards. And so, will Indiana land him? Couldn't tell you. Have no idea. But I think Indiana's going to be in contact here, and it makes sense because, again, he's a former DeVries player. And when you have this unique situation, you have to take advantage of it. And I think especially early on, for somebody who's just finished his sophomore season, you've got a good mixture out there right now in the transfer portal, at least for Indiana's perspective of, okay, we're going to get this 6th-year senior who we're going to rely on for a year. And we're also going to reach out to this Kevin Overton guy who could end up coming to Indiana and be here for 2 or 3 years. It's a good combination. It's a good balance, I think, is the word we're looking for. And that's what you have to do in the transfer portal. You can't just load up on a bunch of seniors or a bunch of one-year guys and hope that it works out. Sure, you may have a good year this year, but then what do you do next year? Especially if it takes you some more time to build those relationships on the high school level, which I think is happening. That's why you go and reach out to Kevin Overton. Solid player. Don't know if he's a starter at IU, but a role player nonetheless with connections to DeVries that could work out really, really well. So Jasai Miles from North Florida, Duke Miles from Oklahoma, and Kevin Overton from Texas Tech. That's 3 big names you need to go and keep an eye on. Go watch some more film if you'd like to. That's what I did. It's a lot of fun. I love breaking it down and how they could fit on this team, how they could fit in this system, and whether Indiana could land them or not. We're going to wait and see. But portal season is going crazy, and the Hoosiers got to start getting some more names. The 3 we have are awesome, but it's time to pick up a little bit more and see what you're going to do, okay? And that's what tomorrow's episode is going to be about. More big names, one we've talked about before, as the Hoosiers are in a battle with the Bluegrass State, okay? That's coming up on tomorrow's episode, but that is it for today's show of Locked On Hoosiers. Again, cannot stress enough how much I'm thankful for you being here, listening on audio, watching on YouTube, however you take it in. Thank you so much. Okay, we are back tomorrow, Hoosier fans, for another episode. So until then, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.